Happy Monday, everybody. It's Kevin coming to you with Weeds Weekly Wrap, where we talk all things real estate. We dive into last week, up and coming, and some random thoughts. So let's dive right in. The big points that we have is high fives for last week. We are on cruise control right now for this coming week with a little bit of a conservative approach from traders, in my opinion. We're going to talk about the lag effect. What is that and why is that important to the overall outlook for interest rates? And we're going to talk about make and offer. So let's just dive right into what happened this past week. And make no mistake about it, last week was packed with data. However, high fives all around. I had that message on Friday and I'll say it again today. High fives. For us to come out of last week with all those data points, particularly inflationary data, and come out on top with rates lower, that's one of the first times in 2024 that I can remember anyway that we came out ahead on that side of the fence. If you recall, we had all that rhetoric that rates were going to be dropping as we headed into the Q4 and we came into Q1. But since Q1 and since the start of 2024, things have been a lot of headwind against us. So high fives for all of us. So the big data points of last week, and one was up and one was down, is we had the producer price index and the consumer price index. One was up, which was the producer side, which happened on Tuesday, thankfully, and traders didn't seem to care. And I think that was a big part of it. I think it came out on Tuesday. It was a good thing for us as far as interest rates went and as far as the overall market conditions, because all the other big data points were yet to come. So that number that came out higher being earlier in the week, I think just set us up for the overall outcome of a positive week. However, what we did see is we saw the consumer side come down. So we saw the consumer side that was just 0.1% below where it was forecasted, and traders got excited. The market was like, we are headed in the right direction. And we didn't see a crazy significant drop, but we saw the lowest rates that we've probably seen in a good month and a half to 2 months, which was really awesome. The other things that came out of last week is I'm seeing yellow flashing lights with red ones. They're just about to go red, and it's going to be a steady red. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the consumer. The consumer is under stress. I've been preaching it for a while. I thought we would see it a lot sooner than we have now. I thought we would see it in Q1, if not in April, but we are now seeing it. Retail sales were off, consumer sentiment is down, consumer confidence is down. That is a red light, and that is the effect of these Fed fund rate increases as well as coupled with inflation. It is eating up middle America. That's just the fact. It's exactly what's happening. And there's really nothing that we can do to say different. We might as well just admit it and move on. But that red light is glaring right now. And the other thing we're seeing is proceed with caution. And what do I mean by that is we also had the building numbers come out. And while builders are pulling permits, it's an interesting dynamic right now in the fact that all we hear, right, from all the economists and the forecasters is how much we have a lack of inventory. And what we saw for these past couple of years, especially during COVID, is we saw builders really ramp up. They really start building, these tract builders were building in massive numbers across the US. And what we've seen is they're also proceeding with caution. They're also feeling it like the consumer. They're saying, whoa, rates are really high. We have people coming on our door, hesitating. Yeah, we're offering big, buy downs and everything else under the sun, but we're starting to see that inflation is eating away at this consumer. So what you're seeing is permits are just leveling off. I'm not saying they're falling off. What I'm saying is we have this huge lack of inventory that we keep getting told, and the numbers bear that out, but yet we have builders pulling back. And what does that mean? We are going to have a inventory shortage for quite some time unless we can get rates down into the 3-4% range. And I think we got a long way to go. I'm talking years and years to get to that level. So that's number one. So let's talk about, that was last week. So what do I see coming up this week? I see cruise control. We don't have any significant data as big as we saw in the beginning weeks of May until we get to June, right? We have the biggest thing I think this week is we have the Fed is speaking, and they're on repeat. They're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And I'll read it right here. The biggest comment. They're holding our restrictive stance for longer is prudent at this point as we gain clarity about the path of inflation. How many times have we heard that? The only thing that's really changed is now it's a restrictive stance, meaning that we're not reducing it. We're going to leave the door open that we could, if we had to, increase it. Although with the recent number as far as inflation, we're seeing the consumer pulling back and we're seeing jobs with the kink in the armor. I don't expect that. However, it is something to point out that is now the Fed's message, and it's on like repeat, right? And my other fear is, as we're moving into this cruise control, I'm still concerned about stagflation. Stagflation, once again, is decrease with jobs, you got decrease in consumer spending, and you still have persistent inflation. And that is exactly where we are right now. I think that's why the traders and economists rejoiced last week when we saw that CPI number come in lightly. However, just to quote Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, and basically he said, if you have higher rates and God forbid stagflation, well, that's exactly what we're going to have here, right? You're going to see stress in real estate, leverage companies, and private credit. That doesn't sound too good for the economy. Right now, you have a run rate of 3.4% month over month for inflation. It's not sustainable. Even getting inflation down to 2%, I think the Fed's going to alter that. But we need to see, come June and July, we need to start seeing that inflation number start getting down into the high twos, or we have big problems. We are going to be headed for stagflation right in the middle of a presidential cycle. That's going to be quicksand for a lot of our people. So we just need to be prepared, right? And thinking about it in the future of how we're going to counter that. And we'll talk more about that at a different time. That's not going to be today. So where do I think what's going to happen is we're going to kind of hover in a range of 4.35% to 4.5% on that 10-year treasury. We're going to kind of move this way, just meander along until we get into June and we start getting heavy into the big data points of jobless numbers, manufacturing, and inflation always comes out, right? So that's why, the big thing for me is it June yet? Here we are, we got a holiday week this weekend. Again, what do I expect? I expect a lot of conservative play. I think hedging, I think you're going to see rates actually bounce up from their lows. I think this is going to be a very boring week. I think we're going to see interest rates creep up ever so slightly. You're going to see some hedging of people that want to get out of the market, go, not be caught flat-footed as we head into the holiday, because Monday being now it creates a short week for next week. And then we're going to be falling into June. So as we get into mid next week, we'll start to see, the real rhetoric come up with regards to what's the data going to look like come June? What could the Fed possibly do? And right now the projection is a potential September, obviously, rate cut, which we had predicted July, and we're going to be damn close to that. Because once again, I still think every division of the government is political in some way. So if we keep getting inflation coming down just little by little, jobs under pressure and the consumer pulling way back like they are, we will get that rate cut. So let's talk really quick about the lag effect. And I like to bring up the lag effect because you're starting to hear it a lot in the news cycles. But the big thing that everyone doesn't talk about is there's really four parts of the lag effect. You have the recognition lag, which is where Fed policymakers, government officials are almost with blinders on. Like, Houston, we have a problem. Well, it's already too late if we have a problem, right? So the recognition lag of we are under stress as far as the economy is, and we need to look down the road and figure out how to fix it. We then have the decision lag. You see that from Fed policy only changing ever so often 9 times this year. Well, something may happen sooner than they need. Well, you're going to have a decision lag in there. You're going to have the implementation lag, which is, okay, the Fed funds rate gets increased. Banks got to do it. It's got to field its way out, flow itself out into the economy. And that's why you're seeing this lag effect now, right? Is because everyone had low interest rates. Only the people that are now under stress is everyone that had debt and now is doing something as far as getting financing with higher interest rates. So it's starting to follow through and it's starting to flow through the economy. The last one we have is the response lag, and that's us, consumers, companies, people that produce the goods, people that consume the goods. And that's what we're seeing right now. And the reason I'm pointing this out is you take 2 years ago, it was actually March of 2022 when the Fed was nearly at zero. All the way fast forward 16 months later in July of 2023 was their last Fed funds rate increase. We're now almost a year out from that, and now we're starting to see the stress in the jobs market. Now we're really, these past couple months, starting to see the pullback from the consumer, right? Because of the high credit card interest rate debt, the cost of food, right? Just your normal everyday stuff, your gas, your food, your consumables that we have to live. It is starting to eat us up, but it's taken that long. If you look at that entire cycle, you're talking over 2 years at this point for it to get through. So my point is, if the Fed goes to reverse it, we are going to have the same on the opposite side. So there's the good and bad. It's going to take much longer, years, as I said earlier, for us to potentially get down into the high 3s, 4%, high 4% range on interest rates. The good news, however, is the market traders are forward thinking 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road. So as they start painting this picture of what's going to happen and when we kind of perceive of where the market is headed, and now the jobs are pulling back and maybe inflation, the market's going to kind of say, oh shit, we got a Fed funds rate coming. We know in the long term interest rates are going to go down. Let's buy, right? And then we're going to see interest rates come down. So we don't necessarily need the Fed to do anything for interest rates on mortgages to come down, but they're only going to be able to come down so much. That's the bad news. Lastly, on our constant quest to move inventory, I basically it's make an offer. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in this business people are reluctant to make offers, and we need a reminder that that is what makes our industry work. We're building dreams, right? We're establishing dreams. We're establishing lives for our clients, building families with our clients. The only way that happens is if we make offers. And if we're selling, that we see a bunch of offers. And typically what happens in uncertain times like this, people get hesitant to make an offer. I've been doing this over 20 years. I've seen it, right? I've seen it with my own eyes. Is my offer going to be enough? Is it too low? Is it too high? Are prices going to come down? And what we learn is in hindsight is the people that actually do something, make an offer because it's the right time for them to buy or sell, they make out. We always hear years down the road, right? Hey, I wish I would have done something. We look like, oh man, I should have bought that property. Yeah, interest rates were high, but I could have got a great deal. So going all the way back full circle to what we talked about this is the year of affordability. You can always make the numbers work. As we've said before, the best time for your client to buy or sell is when they're ready to buy or sell. The numbers can always work. So that is our job, is to help them realize the dream by going through what is their big pain points so that we can overcome them, show them that it is affordable because maybe prices are down. We can make this lower offer. You're saving $100,000 on this house. Look at the interest rate difference in that and go through that. You're going to have to really dig in and do some work, which is okay because that's great because it's what we should be doing. And at the end of the day, we need to make that offer. That's what creates quicksand, is when everyone's on pins and needles. And our main message to all of our clients should be, if you're in the market, it's the time. Let's start writing offers. And I don't care if we got to write 50 of them. Let's write them. Let's keep writing them until we get the house that we want, that meets your dreams, that gets your goals, that builds your dreams at the affordable price you're looking for. All right, y'all. Everyone have a great week. I am around. I'm working all through the holiday weekend as well. So do not hesitate to give Kevin a call. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Have a great week. Happy selling. And again, you need anything, I'm right here. Cheers.